Now I am. Okay. Let's do a few more examples for you guys, and then I'm going to teach you how they get to lose one, how they get to gain one, so on, okay? So, let's do magnesium. What is magnesium's atomic number on the periodic table? Magnesium. You were looking at something else. It's 12. So how many protons does it have? And in order for it to be neutral, it is an atom. Atom means neutral. How many electrons does it have? Right. Now let's do a magnesium ion. It has 12 protons. Remember, everybody, I told you this yesterday. I will repeat it till I'm blue in the face. Proton numbers don't change. You need to remember that. Proton numbers don't change. You're going to say it so much, you're going to hear it in your sleep. Proton numbers don't change. Magnesium loses 2 electrons. So how many electrons will it have? 10. Is magnesium going to form a positive ion, which we call a cation, or a negative ion, which we call an anion? It's going to be a cation. How much more positive is it than negative? Well, how many more protons than electrons does it have? So what you do is you write 2 plus. This is a magnesium ion, and it is a cation. I know it's pretty lame, but chem teachers since the dawn of chemistry have been saying a cation is positive. Right, Alex? Positive. Meow. I showed you yesterday. There's a t-shirt I can get you. It says, I'm a cation and I'm positive. All right. Let's do another one. Oxygen. What is oxygen's atomic number, guys? 8. 8 what? Good. So how many electrons does it have? Very good. Let's do an oxygen ion. How many protons does the ion have? Because the proton number doesn't change. See, I'm going to be saying that a lot. Now, the oh wait, hold up. Yeah, sorry, almost had a flash. We're good. This is going to have 10 electrons, so it gained 2. So is this oxygen going to be is the ion going to be a cation or an anion? Anion. And what will its charge be? Yeah, and you have to write 2 negative. I know that we say -2, and I'm okay with that, but you have to write it as 2 negative. That's just how we do it in chemistry. Are there any questions so far? Okay, so let me ask you this. Let's look at magnesium. Garrett, my man on this. What would have a bigger radius? The magnesium atom with 12 electrons or the magnesium ion with 10? Good. Now look over here with the ions. What would have a greater radius? The atom for oxygen or the ion for oxygen? Very good. Why? That's it. The electrons are found orbiting the nucleus. The more electrons you have, the bigger the cloud is, the bigger the radius is. Okay, let's do another. Chris, what is aluminum's atomic number? 13. How many protons does it have? So how many electrons does it have? Okay. Let's look at the ion now. How many protons does it have, Chris? That doesn't change. Good. Here's the electron number, guys. 10. So, Chris, what would you say the charge is of this aluminum ion? Yeah. Is that a cation or an anion? Because they're positive, right? Yes, Nick.
How do you know how many electrons?
I haven't gotten there yet. That's a question probably you and everyone else has. How do you know? I will teach you. How do you know how many are going to lose? I will teach you that. Right now, I'm just trying to help you guys identify if it's positive or negative. We're going to get there. All right, let's do another. Nitrogen. Atom. Olive, how many protons and electrons does a nitrogen atom have? Yep. Now, how many protons does a nitrogen ion have, Olive? Okay, and the electron number is going to be 10. So what is the charge of a nitrogen atom, Olive? Or ion, I mean. How do you write it? Okay, 3 with a negative symbol. If the number is 1, you don't write 1. But if it's greater than 1, 2, 3, and so on, you do write that. So Olive, what would have a greater radius? The nitrogen atom with 7 electrons or the nitrogen ion with 10? The ion would. Okay. So are there any questions on just identifying if it's positive or negative? The next thing I want to tell you guys is I want to write this down. How to determine if an ion gains or loses electrons and how many electrons. So this is what Nick was asking. I bet a lot of you are probably trying to figure this out too. Where's he getting 10 from? Where is he getting 7 from? Where is he getting all these numbers from? I'm going to tell you. Oops. Okay. Check this out. We did this yesterday. I would like you guys to please draw the atom, like what we did yesterday. Look up here. All these. I want you to draw again. See all that? I want you to draw the atom for sodium for me, please. I'm going to give you a moment to do it on your own. I know you did it yesterday. Try not to peek. Let's see if you can remember how to do it. Draw me the sodium atom, please. This is a huge, huge lesson. This is big. The reason why I say it's such a big lesson is you will be using this for the rest of the year. This is big stuff. All right, here we go. Here's the sodium atom. I got the nucleus right there. What's in the nucleus? Protons and neutrons, okay? How many electrons can sodium fit on the first energy level? Good. How many can it fit on the second energy level? Very good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many can it fit on the third energy level? 1. How many total electrons does sodium have? 1. Well done. Okay, now, you ready? Here we go. This is where a lot of you are probably going to go like, oh, Nick, if you're not going to do it out loud, I bet you in your mind, you're going to go, oh. Connor, you look excited. We're going to blow your mind here. Is sodium stable as it is? No. How many electrons does it need on that third energy level to be complete? It needs 8. So we would need 7 more. I'm going to pose a choice for you. And everyone always gets the choice right. What do you think would be easier for sodium to do? Would it be easier to gain 7 electrons and complete the third energy level? Or would it be easier to lose 1 electron like this? Let me show you. And drop down to the second energy level and be complete. What do you think is easier? Lose 1. So here's what I want to write. Let me return that back there. Let's go to before, okay? Before, how many protons does sodium have? 11. How many does it have after? Or excuse me, before. How many electrons does it have before? 11. Cool. Now let's go to after. How many protons does sodium have after this change? 11 protons, Madeline. How many electrons does it have after? What type of charge would sodium have after it loses that 1 electron? Positive by how many? 1. So the reason why it lost that electron and ended up with a positive 1 charge is so that it could become stable. Yeah. We're getting there. We're going to get there. Okay, see if you guys can fill in the blank. Every atom in group 1 has blank valence electrons. How many? 1. So okay. To achieve stability, they lose 1 electron, which is a valence electron, to resemble what? What does sodium resemble after it loses 1 electron? Neon. And what did I tell you last week is significant about all the noble gases here in group 18? They're stable by themselves. Sodium will resemble neon, a noble gas, and it will be stable. Now, guys, I have a task for you, and I want to be sure I don't miss out on you guys having the opportunity to do this. I want you to look again right here. How many total electrons does a sodium ion have now? 10. I want you to do the electron configuration for sodium ion. Madeline, can you tell us one more time, how many electrons does the sodium ion have? 10. I want you guys to try it. If you make a mistake, that's why you're here. Make the mistakes now and learn from them so you don't make them later when it counts and when it hurts. Mistakes now should be harmless. We're going to learn from them. You got it? James, you got it? What'd you do right? You didn't, did you?
No,
What'd you
I didn't.
You did the orbital diagram?
No, I just thought.
You did the orbital diagram. You did the boxes with the arrows. Can you tell me what the electron configuration would be? I'll get you started. 1s2. That's an electron configuration. Can you finish it?
Oh. 2s2,
Yeah.
2p6.
And that's it. Why did we not go to 3s1? Exactly. Guys, these exponent numbers are the number of electrons. Whoops, excuse me. Hold on. 2 plus 2 plus 6 is how many? 10. How many electrons did the sodium ion have? 10. That's why we didn't go to 3s1. Now, listen carefully. I'm really hoping that at least internally you're having these moments. What is the highest energy level for the sodium ion, guys? 2. How many total valence electrons does it have? Is it stable? Yes, it is stable. I think that you could do for a lot of practice here. So let's do another practice problem. I want you to do a magnesium ion. See if you can figure it out. Here's what I'd like you to do. Draw the atom. Make it an ion. That includes writing the new symbol. And that includes the charge. And then do the electron configuration. Give you about 3 minutes. David. Reasonable expectation, David. Okay, I think that's long enough. Magnesium atom. How many total electrons does it have? 12. How many electrons go in the first shell? How many go in the second shell? How many can fit on the third shell? 2 plus 8 plus 2 is going to be 12. Is magnesium stable? No. So what would make more sense? Adding 6 more and completing the third level, or taking 2 away and having a complete second level? Take 2 away. So a magnesium atom has 12 protons, 12 electrons. A magnesium ion has 12 protons and how many electrons? 10. So what is its charge? Positive 2. The new symbol is going to be Ng with a positive 2 charge. You will then do the electron configuration. It should be 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. What noble gas is a magnesium ion imitating? Every ion that is a positively charged ion is imitating the noble gas that comes before it. If I ask you guys to do strontium right here, what column is strontium in? Right here, folks. The second column. So how many valence electrons does strontium have? 2. Does it need to gain 6 to become stable, or would it be better to lose 2 to become stable? Lose 2. So what noble gas would strontium resemble once you made it an ion? It would resemble krypton. It resembles the noble gas that comes before it. What would the charge of strontium be if you gave it, if you put it in its ionic form? What I need you guys to understand now, everything in group 1 has a positive 1 charge. What do you suppose everything in group 2 has? Positive 2 charge. We're going to skip the D block for now because that's a whole different set of issues. When you're not ready yet, I want you to go to group 13. I want to do aluminum now. Same thing, guys. Draw the atom, make it an ion, write the electron configuration. This is practice. You need it. Aluminum, number 13. All right. I have the atom on the left, 13 protons, 13 electrons. I have the ion on the right, 13 protons, blank electrons. And I have the atom drawn. How many valence electrons does aluminum have? 3. And what energy level are those electrons on? The third one. What would be easier for aluminum to do? Option A, find 5 electrons and complete the third level. Or option B, lose 3 electrons and drop down to the second level, which is complete. Lose 3. And that's what you're going to do. Drop them. So how many electrons does it have? 10. So what is its symbol? What's the charge? Positive 3. And its electron configuration would be 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. What noble gas does aluminum represent? Or excuse me, mimic. Neon. So what I need you to remember, it gets kind of weird when you get over here in the 13th, but aluminum is going to have a positive 3 charge. These get weirder. So I'm not getting into those yet. You guys will get those in future units. But now I want to answer, I'm going to get you in a second. I'm going to answer your question about when it's 4. What happens with that? What do you got?
That was a good question.
Okay. So what happens when it's 4? Do you gain 4 or lose 4? So let's do carbon. Let's do carbon together. Carbon has 6 protons, 6 electrons. It looks like this. It has 4 valence electrons, 6 total electrons. So here comes the answer. Does it gain 4 or does it lose 4? What do you think? What do you think, Kellen? It loses 4. So the ion has 6 protons and 2 electrons. So it is C with a positive 4 charge. In this class, you're rarely ever going to see this. I'm not going to have you guys deal with these oddball ones. But you asked, I'm answering. Carbon will lose 4 electrons. What noble gas will a carbon ion resemble? It resembles helium. So its electron configuration is just 1s2. Done. That's it. 1s2. All right, so we've done a lot about cations. And by the way, let me ask you about the radius, okay? As a class, let's see if you get this right. And please think before you speak. How many electrons are lost in atoms that are in the first column? How many?
1.
Okay. How many electrons are lost when you go to the second column? How many electrons are lost when you get to the 13th column? Garrett? How many? 3. Is the radius getting bigger or smaller as you go from 1 to 2 to 13? Yes. And that's where I'm going to write this down on your paper, but then we got to have a break. So draw yourself a little outline of periodic table. Like that. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Draw a dotted line like this, right after group 13. The ionic radius decreases. Ionic radius decreases. And when you go down, it increases. But, I mean, this is critical. You guys need to have that little dotted line there because things are about to change big time. And I want to make this very clear for you as well. As you guys go from group 1 to group 2 to group 13, Are you gaining electrons or are you losing electrons? You're losing electrons, exactly. But then what about this area over here? I have not done that yet. This is where it's going to get different, okay? So we need to start talking about some negative ions. I want you to do phosphorus for me. Please draw phosphorus. Phosphorus has 15 protons, 15 electrons. Please draw it.
All right.
Ava, how many valence electrons does phosphorus have? 5. How many does it need to be stable? Does it have 8? No. So right now, phosphorus is unstable. Ava, what does your gut tell you would be easier for phosphorus to do? Would it be easier to lose 5 and drop down to the second level, or gain 3 and have a completed third level? Yes, it's like every year, never fails. Everybody knows it. So here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna gain 3 electrons. Here, here, and here. Now, if you're asking where these electrons come from, again, you're not ready for that yet. We're going to get there. I will eventually tell you where they're coming from. But for now, I want you guys to know why we're gaining 3. So Ava has just completed the 3rd energy level. Ava, how many electrons does phosphorus now have in its valence level? 8. Is it stable? Yes. Can you count how many total electrons it now has? All. 18. So look what I'm about to do, guys. Watch the screen. I'm going to cross out 15. I'm going to write 18. So Ava, what does phosphorus now have more of? Protons or electrons? By how many? So what would the charge of a phosphorus ion be? By how many? So we write 3 negative. And I'm going to tell you guys this now. I wasn't planning on it, but this will come up later, so I might as well do it now. Please, this is really important. Ava, is this ion positively charged or negatively charged? It's negatively charged. Whenever you have a negatively charged ion like this phosphorus ion, you no longer call it phosphorus. And by the way, this is only with negative ones. Its name will change to phosphide. And I'll write it up here. Negatively charged ions get a name change. The suffix changes to IDE. You do not do this with positive ones. Aiden, or not Aiden. Yeah, Aiden. Okay. Okay. When you sleep, it goes in the recording. I don't want to say your name and then say, hey, wake up. Hey, you blank, wake up. Don't do that. All right. Now, I'm hands off. I want you guys to do oxygen on your own. No, not oxygen. Change my mind. Sulfur. Do sulfur all on your own. Okay. Sulfur symbol is S. How many protons does it have, class A? 16 protons. How many electrons does it have? 16 electrons. I'm going to draw it. 2 electrons on the first level. 8 on the second level. How many are on the third level? 6 are. Let's see. Who should I pick on? Isabella. How many valence electrons does sulfur appear to have? Do you know what valence means, Isabella? That's a yes or no question. Don't just look at me. Do you know what valence means? What?
No. Yes.
A valence electron is an electron that is on the outermost energy level. So what energy level appears to be the highest? The first one, the second one, or the third one? And how many electrons does it have on the third energy level? That's correct. It has 6 valence. Is it complete by itself? No. How many do you need on the third energy level for it to be complete? Do you remember? 8. Does it have 8? No. How many more would it need to be stable? So what does your gut tell you in order for this to be stable? What would make most sense? Lose 6 and go down to the second level, which is stable, or gain 2 more and complete your third level. Gain 2. So, Isabella, we have 16 electrons. If we gain 2, how many electrons will we have now? 18. So we're going to add those 2. Let me put them in right now. Here and there. So how many total? You already said that. All right, it's 18. Here's my next question, Isabella. Now that this is an ion, does it have more protons or electrons? By how many? How many more electrons than protons? So what is sulfur's new charge? Which one? Yes. And you no longer call it sulfur. Look on the rule I just did for phosphorus. What will its name change to? Yes, sulfide. Good job. Its name is now sulfide. Okay, I'm going to do one more. I want you guys to do chlorine, please. We have about 5 minutes, so move it along. Okay. All right, let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny, Benjamin. How many protons does chlorine have? Yeah. 17. How many electrons does it have? 17. What is its valence shell? First, second, or third? And how many electrons does it have on the third? Is it stable? No. How many does it need to be stable? 8. It has 7, so it needs 1 more. What sounds like it makes most sense to you, Ben? Would you expect chlorine to lose 7 and go down a level like this? Or, let's undo that. Gain 1 more and complete the third. Gain 1. There it is. So, Ben, it will no longer have 17 electrons. How many will it have? 18. And what will chlorine's new charge be? How many? Do you write 1? No, just write the negative symbol. And it is no longer called chlorine. What is its new name? Chloride. So, everybody, let's see if you might be able to pick up on a trend here, okay? I want to go back a lesson back when we did some coloring. Here we go. I want y'all to look at group 15. This is group 15. We call it the nitrogen group. Nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, and so on. How many valence electrons does everything in group 15 have? How many? 5. How many do you need to be stable? 8. So what's the difference between 8 and 5? 3. Everything in group 15 gains how many electrons to become stable? 3. You might want to write that down. Group 15 elements gain 3 electrons. Therefore, what is their charge? Whether it's nitrogen or phosphorus or arsenic or antimony, all those. What would their charge be if they're gaining 3 electrons? Nick? 3 negative or -3. I'll take either answer. Great. Everything in group 15 gains 3 electrons to be stable. So when you all did phosphorus, what noble gas will phosphorus resemble when it gains 3 electrons? Will it gain the noble gas? Will it resemble the noble gas that came before it or the noble gas that comes after it? Yeah, it's going to resemble argon. What noble gas will nitrogen resemble when it gains 3 electrons? Exactly. Okay, let's go to group 16. We call this the oxygen group. You all did sulfur. You added, Isabella and all of you added 2 electrons to sulfur. Everything in group 16 gains 2 electrons. So what is the charge of everything in group 16? If they gain 2 electrons? 2 minus or -2. I'll take either answer. So what do the group 16 elements, do they resemble the noble gas that comes before them or after them when they gain 2 electrons? After. So what would oxygen resemble when it gains 2 electrons? What would sulfur resemble? What would selenium resemble? Okay. Group 17 are the halogens. How many valence electrons does everything in group 17 have? 7. How many do you need to be stable? 8. So all these just need to gain 1 electron. Fluorine, chlorine, bromide, iodine, they need to gain 1 electron to be stable. What will the charge of all these group 17 elements be when they gain that 1 electron? Negative what? You say -1, but you actually write 1? You don't. So if I ask you to do bromine, what would its name change to? Bromide. How about chlorine? How about fluorine? Oxygen. Oxide. How about sulfur? Selenium. Selenide. Iodine. Iodine. Phosphorus. Phosphide. Nitrogen. Perfect. Good job. Last question, you're out of here. Do you need to do anything with the noble gases?
No.
Why not? They're stable as they are. What are all the, look at me, look at me. What are these elements intended to resemble? One of the ones over in group 1 and 2 in 13 are intended to resemble. Yes. All right. Tomorrow we will continue.